Hey class, I got my crazy hair on. It was in a ponytail all day and then I took it out. This is what I got. So I'm still working on the girl. What I want to do is I want to put some flowers right here. Some like paper flowers right here. Just kind of white and glittery. And then I'll finish her face and her hair. Do a little more shading on her shirt. I might do some of that now and show you, but I also wanted to, in Zoom, I asked you what you guys wanted to learn to do. And some of the responses I got were how to make flowers, so watercolor flowers, a willow tree, like using pencils, colored pencils, a dragon, cactus, and hens, learning to draw hens. That's something I struggle with. So, this is cactus I did when I went to Arizona to visit my sister. And I did a few more, but I'm not able to find them at the moment. So I'll find them. But I was going to demonstrate just how to do something like this. I thought it was in this book, but apparently it's not. So, yeah. I can't find my... Okay, so I'm going to do a different cactus. It's a little more simple than this. Mostly because of time. But I'm just sketching this out. I just want to show you when you're doing a pot. When you're about at eye level of your pot, the rim is going to be more of a... Well, you're going to have a little bit of a curve because this is a little lower. Maybe I need to have this over the top so that you can see. I'm going to pause it and change the position. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to get this shape here. A lot of times I like to do kind of an oval of the opening so that I can find out. And I just roughly just kind of do a little circle. You ever done those little repeatograph little things that you do you put your pencil in the little plastic circle and it goes around. Anyway, it's kind of the same technique. You're just doing a bunch of little lines. And just do a bunch of little lines till you get it. Just kind of where that perfect edge is. And getting them the exact same it can be kind of a challenge, but you can do it. Okay, so this little guy. Now that I have all these lines, I'm just going to go in, just kind of feel my way. It's just more of a erase some of those other lines. I'm going to feel my way around until you can see that edge. And try to do a little softer edge on that one. Now, of course, you're not going to see the back of it, so you can erase it once you got about where you need. So this is going to be one of those cute little cactuses. I think I got a little big that you see that has a little flower on top. So we're just going to kind of fill in, not super detailed because we don't want to. Okay, so there's a lot going on. We want to erase a lot of these lines because with watercolor, your lines will come through. Some watercolor artists actually let their pencil lines show, which is fine. Like they keep them in there, they don't erase them. But I like mine to be a little more clean. So I'm just going to get just kind of the rough, just really, really light edge so I know where things are going. This still feels a little off. Just kind of feel, just play with it. You'll get it. I'm gonna turn it here. Getting that curve I want. This other side's kind of curved and this one isn't. I always like to turn my page until I get at the angle that I feel comfortable with. I like turning it and twisting it until I get it. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to want to do is the back. Remember everything in the background. So I'm going to paint the inside of this pot. And I'm going to use this brush here. I'm just going to use a little darker. Can you see the colors? I'm going to put the colors so you can see them. This isn't just my little palette. Just a little darker brown. Just a dry palette. These are called cakes. Little cakes. And I'm just going to start with the dark part, the darkest part, which will be the edge of the cactus. And then down here in the corner, it's going to be pretty dark. So once again, do this side. And against the cactus again, you're going to use your dark. I hope you guys can see this. I'm going to zoom in just a little. So you can see it a little better. Okay. So there are two different techniques I'm going to show you. Actually, three. So on the pot, I'll do something, and on this, I'll do the other technique, watercolor technique, and the flowers, I'll do another one. All right, so here's my rag. Now, this, I've left a little white because I want to go in with maybe a little terracotta mixed with a little brown, and it's just going to be a lighter color. I like to rinse my brush, and what you can do, you get your brush wet, and then you dry it, and then you can take out some of that color. So I'm going to pull some of this, rinse it again, until I get it to where I like it. Now, get an eraser mark right in there. As it's drying, you can add a little more dark to it, the dark color. And right around this edge is going to be, and I'm just going to wait till it dries because sometimes this just bleeds a little too much. Okay, I'm just going to let that dry. Then I'll come back to it. Now I'm going to work on this pot. I'm going to show you a couple techniques. I'm going to put a cute little design here. So it's just like a little band. I'm just going to put a little design in it. So the terracotta color, I'm going to add this terracotta color. And I'm going to put it over here. You can't really see it, but I'm mixing it over here in my lid. And I'm going to keep adding water, putting it, just kind of brushing it off over here. I'm going to add a little of this tannish buckskin kind of color. And then I'm just going to start putting it down. And I'm kind of just doing a blotting technique. So you just kind of blot it. I want this to kind of be marbly and fun. So when you're doing your edge, remember how we pull the brush along the edge? That gives it that nice clean. And I was supposed to do the cactus first, but it's okay because it's behind. So whatever's behind you want to do first. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. Like now. Now while this is like still wet, I'm going to add a little more water just on the edges here. That'll keep that edge wet. And I'm going to just pull that down, pull the edge down again. Now I can pull in some of this orange and just kind of blot it. I'm just doing a little blotting technique. Blot, 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 blot. now, because I just like different colors to dance around in there, I'm going to have some colors dance. Now for this line, I'm just going to take what's here because I added some water to that edge. And I'm just going to pull. You can kind of create a line where you want your brush to stop at. Wherever your brush goes is where your paint will go. With watercolor, you want to be really steady, because if I was to go down into here, I want to keep this white. If I was to run my paintbrush into that, over this other side of this line, it would mess up my little middle area. Okay. Now you can do some fun things with some rubbing alcohol. And I've got some here. I'm just going to put a little drop right over here. Let's watch what it does. I'll do another one. I kind of like them to overlap. And it just kind of is a fun little, leaves like a little circle, but then it has the paint in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to do this bottom part. I'm going to do the same thing. This is terracotta color. A little of the orange, and I'm going to go down now. I'm going to go down here and just pull that paint across that line. Okay. That line is not as straight as I wanted it, but that's okay. Now I'm going to take, remember I put some water down here, and I'm just blotting, and I'm going to get this darker color. This terracotta color. I'm going to just put that in there. And we're going to get some brown. And we're going to put some brown in there. And go along that edge. Just pull my brush along the edge there. I love watercolor. I love watching what it does. It just dances on your paper. It's just fun. You're kind of the director, and then it just does its own thing sometimes. All right. Now, I really love this color. I don't know, it's just a turquoisey color, but I just really love it, especially for this type of, I'm just going to put a little in. Just this blue. This will be fun. See what it does here. Just kind of let it do its own thing. So the colors underneath, the browns, the terracottas, and what color is that? I have paint over it, so I can't read it. Yellow ochre. That's what color it is. It was really wet. And then when I put the blue in, can you see how the blue just spread out like that? That's really fun. Okay, so we got our pot. We're going to just let that dry before we do the centerpiece. Otherwise, if I do the centerpiece and the paint I have in here touches this part, because it's still wet, it's just going to go crazy. Sometimes you want that. Sometimes you don't. Okay, so now we're going to work on our cactus, our cacti. Let's do... I'm just going to get the basic color. Oh, okay. So this technique that I just used is kind of a blotting technique. And I did both just your color, putting your color down, and then I also added water, which gave it a wet effect. And then I added more paint. So it's kind of a layer type one. Now, this next technique I'm going to show you is more layering, but we're going to let things dry. And this one, I just realized it's got some white in it. So, pause for a moment. Okay, so this cactus has, just like this one, well, this one doesn't have the white, but I'm gonna do some little white specks all over. So I'm gonna leave some areas unpainted. Sometimes you can achieve that with a crayon. I don't know if I have a crayon. It's like a white crayon. You can just put little dots. Sometimes that'll work, sometimes it doesn't. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a really, really light color. I think I'm gonna do like a kind of a yellowy green color. Yellow, a little bit of green. And, ooh, that's a pretty color. Did you see that? It's kind of a fun color. Okay, so, it's hard because I don't strategically have a plan yet. So these ones kind of have lines that go down like this. So I do want to put those in because they're going to be darker. And then I want to do a few little circles where the little pokies are going to come out of. So they're just more random. It's not any. So I'll just kind of put that down. We'll kind of do a little row, like it has a little row. Okay, so now we have some kind of pattern. Okay, I'm going to put this light color down. This will be our first layer. And it's just going to go over the lines, but I don't want to go inside the circle. When I do this, I want to go around each little circle area. We're not going to go up into the flower. I want to leave that. I just want to pull this. This is really watery because I want it to be light. So the more water you have in it, the lighter the color. So what I'm doing now is I'm just pulling. I'm basically just coloring it in. So I'm coloring it. If you go around the edges, it's really light. Do you see how light that is? You can add a little more color. But I want it really light because this is my first layer and I just got into that circle. You can get some tissue. Sometimes your color will come out. You can pull your color out. Sometimes if it has too much pigment in it, it stains your paper. So if you don't get it out right away, it won't come out. So I'm just kind of leaving a space around those circles that I painted. And just get your brush wet again, and that will help spread the paint. Oops, I just went over that one. I think I keep doing that one. I'm forgetting about that little one. Little circle. All right. And it's okay if it's darker in some areas. I'm going to go around that one. I think I just went in that one. I need tissue. Okay. Go around. Okay, make sure that you make, this is color I made, so make sure you make enough of it. If you mix colors, that you have enough. I'm really low on this color, so I'm going to add some water to my brush. And somehow that got a little brown in it. I don't know why. I'm going to go around the edge of it. And let's do, I am completely out of paint. So we're just gonna keep getting my brush wet. Spreading those colors, you can still pull. So sometimes your paints will do interesting things, like this left a little bit of a texture. I'll pull that up there so you can see. Right there. Do you see the texture in the paint, the watercolor? So I'm just going to leave that. It might stay, it might not, just depending on what we get. I'm trying to mix a little bit more. so I can get more to fill in. This has a little more yellow in it, which is fine. So that will work for my next layer. Okay, we're getting close. So now there's a line right here. It's kind of dried. What I like to do is just kind of, when I'm filling this area in, I'll just go back and forth along that line. It usually will wet up. Now some of these lines are kind of fun if they're jaggedy, so sometimes they'll stay and they're fun, but just for this technique, I'm gonna try to get rid of most of them. Okay, so now I covered over one of those dots. And I want to leave it because I want to show you that you can get a napkin. Well, first you got to get water. Just use a small brush where it's like the tip is pointy, and you want to just touch just inside the circle right there. And then we're going to blot it. Okay, that took out a lot more than I wanted, so I'm just going to go back in and fill it in. Okay, something fun to do, and we might do this when, I'm trying to think if we'll do it. I'll do one right now. So the water, I just put a water spot. This is called a water spot. And where you've already painted, you can just take a drop of water where it's kind of dried, and you can just drop it in. Where I dropped it in, it just spreads out the color and gives it a fun texture. I'll just hold it up and let you see. See where it's spread out like that? And when it dries, you can really see the effect. Okay, now I'm going to take, some of these colors are just so fun. Just mix your colors and just play with it, see what colors you can get. Okay. I'm going to, okay, I've got this line here, and I want to, my next layer, I want to just pull, it's not dry yet, so it's going to do some crazy stuff. I was going to let it dry. So the cactus technique is layering. And you can do a really, really light color on your first layer. And then you really should let it dry. I'm going to blow dry and I'll be... Okay, now I've got this kind of blue color. It's a fun one. I'm going to add a little more color. I'm going to add a little color right here along under the flower, because it's going to be a little darker up against this area. And then we're going to pull it down. Oh, where'd my color go? There it is. And pull it down. I'm just getting the color in here. All right. This is not like one of my favorite techniques because I like to mix them all together when they're wet. I just like the effects of it better, but it's okay. So I painted in, I put in the color with my brush, and now I'm taking the edge of this dark color that I just put in. I'm just taking the edge and getting water on my brush, not super wet. And then I'm just kind of erasing. It's like an eraser. I'm just erasing that really stark line. And let's get, we need some dark in here, the bottom. I'm rinsing my brush. And just taking that. I just dried my brush a little bit because you don't want it sopping wet. Your brush, you don't want it sopping. So you kind of want to take that excess off. with just like a tissue or something or a towel and just kind of blot it. And you're going to take the edge. Remember, we're erasing that line with just water. My throat's getting a little dry. Okay, now we've got this last one to do. And rinse it again. And I'm just taking this line. If your paint just explodes, that means you probably have a little too much paint in there. And that's just part of it's part of learning how much paint you need, how much water you need. It's a process. All right, we are getting, I didn't go all the way to the edge on this one. So you can just start putting in little blotches, I guess, to give it a three-dimensional look. Now, I don't really like how I put this across like the whole thing. So I'm going to take some some water, and I'm just going to kind of erase like right in certain spots. So it's not like this one, like a pumpkin. I want it to look like a pumpkin. So we're just going to blend it in a little more. This side's okay, except I'm just going to do, just don't like that. And I'm going to go in and blot this up here. We're going to do the blotting technique. Okay. All right, I'm going to add some water to this, and we're going to drop in some other colors. Now this is just, it's a little wet underneath, and I'm just adding, a color. Almost stuck this in my water. Okay. Let's put a little bit. Let's get just dance some colors. So it's not like one continuous line. I don't know why I like put that in there because that's really not what I wanted to do. And then you can also use, like, I would use probably 4 different greens in here. It just gives it a lot more dimension. So I'm going to use kind of a blue-green color. And just throw in some blue-green. Now if it's like, oh, I don't like that color, it's too dark, you just get your brush wet and just kind of throw in some water to lighten it up. And I mean, your little blotchy, cute little cactus is going to be totally different than this. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Okay, now we're going to work on the flower. The flower, so let's kind of get the shape of the flower at least. It just kind of, you know, hopefully you can see. I'm just making little ruffles at the top. It's just one of those cactuses that have the little dried type flowers on it. And so I've got one here. It's going to kind of just like this. One's back there. And I'm just going to use a pink and a peach. Just kind of a peachy and a pink. But I'm going to need some white. Okay. Now, I'm going to do a little smaller brush so I have a little more control. I'm going to go in and I'm going to fill this whole area with water. That way, we're going to have that bleed that I love so much. I love my watercolors to bleed. Does that sound morbid? No, because they're beautiful. Okay. Probably should have waited until this green dried, because if I get the water down to that green, the green's going to splash up into the flowers. So I'll blow dry it just a little bit. Okay, that dried my water. So now I'm going to do, oh, sorry, I bumped you guys. Stuff. Now I'm just going to fill that in again, because it totally dried up the water. Actually, it blew it off the page. I don't know if you watched it blow. It blew right off the page. Okay. So, let's see. Put that down there. All right. Now we're going to go with our red. Do I want to do the red first? Yeah. And I'm going to go really light. Add a little white. Oh dear. Just put my thumb in the white paint. I have a lot of these palettes right here, and I just use them over and over again, because I can, and I hate wasting paint. Okay, so I'm going to fill that in. I'm going to give it just a fun light pink color. Add some more water. Get that baby really watery. Maybe add a little more white. And then make it real pink. Okay, I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to kind of do kind of a stripey color. Fill it in. Just not the whole thing. I don't want this whole thing to be this color. So take this, and I'm going to pull a little of that water out. I think it got a little bit too watery, so I'm blotting it out because I got a little too much water in it. Not quite doing the effect that I wanted. Okay, so we got some pink in there, and like I said, you can bring it up to these little ruffles, a couple of them. Rinse my brush. Now I think I want to do like this red. Just fun. Put in some of this red, and it might be too bright, so if it's too bright, no, it's good. I like it. I like it. And we're gonna just, oh, made a little heart. It's a happy little accident. Okay, so now we're gonna go back here, and like I said, it's not everywhere. It's just I did it on the bottom here. And it's just bleeding. It's just fiery and fun. Put a little bit behind this one, because there's like one front little flower, and then there's one on the side, and one on this side, and then one on the back. So you kind of want to make them distinct so you can tell what they are, where they're at. But at the same time, they're kind of a fun little fiery blended. Now, this front little ruffle that I drew, it's kind of fading. So I'm going to take this dark red, and it might be too wet. But I was going to try to make the shape of the ruffle, go on the back side of the ruffle. and make that shape. Okay, now I'm going to throw a fun orangey peachy color in. Okay, so some of that peach. Ooh, it's a yummy peachy color. Do you see that? So it's just orange and white. I created a peach. It's fun to just play with colors, guys. There's lots you can do. And I just want a little darker orange, so just gonna go. I like to leave some white. Do you see the white spaces in there in the flower? Just kind of like to leave some. So we're gonna put some orange there. Maybe a little bit here. This is really watery. I think, you guys, if I was to do this again, I probably wouldn't put it water down. Just because it's watery enough that I don't need to do that. And you can always add water to your paints. It's just such a delicate balance. So I'm going to add more red behind this. So you can kind of see that this is a little bit red here. It's a little bit red on this side. So this front one pops out just a little bit more. Okay, we're going to get, you see that line right there on the flower? The line. I'm just going to add some water to it and blot it, and it disappears. You don't really ever want a line per se, unless I'm actually making, excuse me, a specific line. Okay, so we're gonna let that dry. Now while that's drying, I want to go in with an ink pen and do a pattern here. And so what I'm gonna do, this right here is going to be white. And I want to do like a herringbone. You guys ever seen it? You know what a herringbone is? I think that's what this is called. So these are going to be my lines. Maybe it's a cross. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what it's called. I don't think I want so many lines. Okay, just gonna go here and make them a little thicker. And then I'm going to start right here in the middle and go down this way. A herringbone's a little different. This might be a herringbone, but I don't know, guys. Okay. And then we're going to go in the center of this one. Down. Oops, I didn't tilt that enough. Go this way. And then we're going to go up again. Are we? No, one more. Okay. I think it's supposed to meet. So, like this one. All right, I'm going to start over. We have a bear in our house. Coda bear. Okay, so I did that one. And then I'm going to start here. And I'm going to go all the way down. One more. Okay, then we're going to start here. Go all the way down to almost the corner, and then we're going to start here, all the way down. That was really crazy. So, oh, could be like a zigzag, maybe. This one goes this way, right? This is where math skills would probably come in handy. Which, yeah. Remember, that's not my forte. Okay. Okay. All right. Ta-da! Okay. So I really want to use an ink pen. So I'm going to pause you guys. Okay. So this is a Kohlnor Rapidograph pen. These I used when I went to college. I took an art class in college. And these are about $20 a piece. They're real expensive, but they're refillable. So ink goes nicely in this little ink holder. And then this is called a nib, the tip. There's all different sizes. This is a little bigger one. But the ink goes down. Now, you have to be very diligent and dedicated because these have to be rinsed out. And if you're not good at doing that, you probably just want to get, they have pens that you can refill with an ink cartridge. So you probably want to go for a cartridge. Oops, that line was way off. But these are what the professional artists will use. And they are amazing pens. They are waterproof. It's just you refill them with Indian ink, like you would use if you did calligraphy or pen and ink. It's the same type of ink. So this goes along with our mixed media. I'm using ink and watercolors. Okay, the last one. And I'll probably go over the edge, with watercolor. I keep almost losing this. Just to give it the edge look. Okay, so I want to try something. I don't know how this is going to work. Okay, so just have all these dots here. I wonder if that's dry enough. I'm going to erase the pencil marks that are in them. Because that's where my guide was. I used the pencil marks, and I'm going to erase them. To make sure your paint is dry, otherwise it'll smear it. Now, I've got a toothpick here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the area, the little white area. Actually, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to make little spikes. About 5 of them. Make sure your paintbrush is not too wet, just the tip. Oh dear. Okay, try it off again. Okay, take the tip and you're just going to pull out from the white area. Just going to do a few strokes. Just really straight lines, because that's going to be like little pokies. I was going to try a toothpick, see if it would work. I don't know if it will. I think my best bet, in fact, I'm going to use this little guy. It's really skinny. There it is. It's really skinny and long. So it actually worked on this one here. I just took the paintbrush and I'm going over in the same area with just water. Maybe that is really light, so I'm not sure if it's going to show up. So you're just going to go over. Don't make sure it's not too wet, because otherwise it'll be a big... Yeah, it's not really working. Okay, plan B. We're going to take some white paint. Oh, there it is. And with my really skinny brush, And remember how to roll your brush? So you're going to take your white paint, you're just going to roll it in here. If you do not have white liquid opaque watercolor paint, you can use acrylic and get the same effect. So I'm just going to take it where this white dot is, and I'm going to pull out from the white dot. It's going to pull, looks like a little cactus needle. Like, what are they called? So a little needle. They're just little needles all over. You might want to wet it just a little to get it moving. Sometimes paint is thick. So I'm gonna pull it in and show you guys up close what it looks like. All right. So can you see that? The little spikes it made. So just take it, start in the white area, and you pull it out. And get your paint on it again. Pull it out. You don't want a ton of paint on this brush. Get it wet so it'll keep your paint from drying. And I'm gonna show you what I'm doing over here. So I'm putting in my brush, putting in the white, and I'm spinning it. That keeps a nice thin paintbrush. All right, so I'm gonna do it up here. Oh dear. And try to do it so you can see it. Just keep pulling these little spikes, needles. Okay, I'm gonna go around and continue to do that, and I'll be back. Okay, I took and did the white, made a bunch of little tiny pokies. And now out here I'm doing some needles, like, you know how you can see this side view. So we're doing some needles out here. Oops. Now I'm just doing one up here, and I like to start at the edge and go out, because that way your point is going to be when you pull it out, your point will be smaller. They got to be a little longer, right? Now with these ones, I'm going to put some with shadows on them, and it's a little dark, so just going to add some water to that, maybe some white, and just do little shadows on the spikes here. And some of them where they're in a really light area, let's give it a darker color. Just add some variety. Okay. Now, I need to add a little more red up in here, just to give it a little bit more depth. Okay, just going to do it down here. And this, I'm just using a really watery, I'm just putting it down. It'll be my top layer. And I'm just kind of moving it around. It's just dancing on the flower. And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to really blend it. So it's going to be the shape. And too dark. I'm going to do a little more on the edge here, just to define that flower. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Just keep working with it, blend it, play with it. That is a little too, I'm going to actually pull that up I didn't like how it was all rounded there. Okay. And make sure you sign your name to it. Oh, I was going to put just a little bit of, maybe some of this brownish, just to give it an edge. And I'm going to pull a little bit in here so it looks like it's shadowed a little bit. Up here. Probably should erase those lines first. All right, I'm done. So I shadowed the black over the black ink. Just make sure your ink is dry. And there you go. What do you think? Hope you enjoyed it. Ta-ta.